What's up, everyone?
Hey, guys.
Hey, we pressed the record button, so now we're going to make a podcast. Is that okay with you? I think this is episode 3.
Episode 3, season 2.
Season 2,
Dun, dun, dun.
Marriage is for quitters.
I'm Lindsay.
I'm Lucas. And
we're
stay
married.
Classy, San Diego. Oh, yeah, we are.
We're married.
Dude, I love that about
high
us.
five. We have some special guests with us tonight.
We do?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Whoa.
Where'd you,
Well, hello.
where'd you guys come from?
This
That
is
special place.
the special place. Taya and Chris Lewis. Christopher. Do you like Christopher or Chris better? We call you Chris.
My mom calls me Christopher.
I just call him the C-Man.
See, man. Lewis. And they're going to shed some light on some...
Ew, they're going to shed?
Shed? I don't know. That was a stupid phrase. But they're going to talk to us about their marriage. We know them because Lucas and Christopher
We're besties for the resties.
Yeah, basically. In
He just
music
recorded
together.
like all of my albums, Forever Never Amen. Well,
Forever.
not all of them, but all the good ones.
He's kind of
Just till he
a
cheated on
sound
me.
wizard.
Till I left him for a
Tall, dark studio in the woods.
tall, dark studio. They just had a longer cable, stiffer cable for me. You know what I'm saying?
Well, they strung you right along on it.
Sure did.
And the cool thing about my husband being in a band is I get to be friends with all the wives, the band wives. Woo, woo. So
Hey, yo.
Taya and I got pretty close. I love her. Yay.
Aw, the romance.
Yeah. So
Should we leave?
actually, should we tell them why they're really here?
Well, you may have noticed the pineapple when you came through the front door and how
We
it
were pretty
was.
excited about it.
All right, hey.
Swingers Club.
All right, for our Christian viewers. Oops.
JK dog.
JK.
God
just
has a sense of humor. Jeez.
I'm pretty sure he wouldn't have made farts sound like they do if he didn't.
Or a platypus.
So one feedback. A platypus.
Well, think about it. It's a beaver, a duck, and it's venomous.
Yeah.
Oh
venomous?
yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't know
like
they were
in their
venomous.
like their thumb claws or whatever, right?
Yeah.
You can can you die from it?
I wouldn't know. But I
I
just...
You
had
can
no
get pretty
idea.
sick.
I'm willing
Wow.
to try
Yeah.
if you are.
You're willing to try?
Yeah,
Let's go find a platypus.
easy.
It's the
Let's
real
test
life
him on the kids
Pokemon.
first. Just kidding.
Lincoln would go nuts.
It's a real life Pokemon. It's a platypus.
Yeah, it's a Pokemon.
Throws a ball at it, chases after him.
One feedback we got was that our listeners want to hear more about who we're speaking to in the beginning
Oh,
and
How do we do that?
Get to know you guys a little better. So
that's hard because I already know you.
yeah, but our viewers or listeners don't.
No one cares about them.
Our listeners or them?
Oh, whichever gets us more
we care
views.
about both. Oh my goodness.
This just went to insulting.
So we know that, well, tell us a little bit about yourselves.
You can start.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. Okay, well, obviously I'm a wife. I'm a mom. I'm a grandma.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my goodness,
Yeah.
Oh, that blows my mind every time I eat.
you're way too hot to be a grandma.
Way too hot. I mean,
You're a
like
gilf.
grandmas are hot these days. They're like getting younger, but
I've got a T-shirt.
You're
Yeah.
one oopsie away from being a grandma, so
I am a cat grandma, so it's fine.
okay.
Counts.
Oh yeah.
We have 3 and 1 on the way.
Grandbabies?
Wow.
Yeah.
Good for you.
That is insane.
Yeah. We
I
have
can't
2
even.
girls.
If you're not watching
and
this, you need to
one
watch YouTube and
boy
see how hot
and
she is.
another boy on the way.
Dang.
Yeah. So 2 and 2.
Because your
soon.
oldest is 30.
Yes.
As of yesterday
Yeah.
or
Wow.
Monday.
Wow.
Yeah.
And she has 3.
Dang.
And
You could be my
Brielle
dad.
Is going
Almost.
to have
Almost.
1 in March.
Brielle's
Or
gonna have
April.
one?
Yeah, in April.
Oh.
April 23rd, she's due.
Aw.
Yeah.
Very cool. Mm-hmm. What else?
I'm a compliance specialist where I work, and I deal with
So
a
you
lot
got to
of
make
credit.
sure we do everything right.
Yeah, I have to follow rules. Follow rules. So
And
I
I'm
deal
the
with
opposite. The complete
Right.
rules are made to be broken.
I'm almost 50.
Oh my gosh, that's
Which is nuts.
You don't
That
look a
is
day
nuts.
over 49.
I'm actually 2 days over 49.
Wait, it was just your birthday?
Yeah,
Oh
on
my
the 10th.
gosh, happy birthday!
Yeah.
I'm
Wow.
such a jerk. Happy birthday.
Happy
Aw.
birthday.
Wednesday.
Well, I guess
Let's get
we'll
you a cake tonight.
we should we'll double their pay for this.
You get 2 drinks now
You get
instead
2
of
pineapples
one.
instead of 1. 2 pineapples.
Awesome.
2 pineapples.
And I'm a glamper. Chris lets me glamp.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
so
you guys
sweet
are
of him.
fun.
You know, we
Yeah.
could do some winter camping if you want. But thinking
Sure.
about buying like a stove.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I like camping, especially
How
if
are
it's
you
more
with that?
rustic.
Because I don't know. I've never
we-
camped in the winter.
We've been doing
We
fall
did fall
camping.
camping and we loved it.
What about the rain? What if it's like?
It was
It
awesome.
did. It rained both times.
Oh, but you're
that
in
we
a
went.
camper.
No.
So who
We
cares?
went outside.
No?
Well, yeah, we cooked outside the whole entire time. I have this, it's like a wind tent. It's like you use for sporting events, and 2 chairs sit underneath it.
Like a easy up with the sides?
Yeah.
Oh,
Ki-
okay.
Kind of.
Yeah, kind of, but it's it's for just 2 chairs.
It's like for soccer moms
For-
who
yeah.
don't want to
Yeah,
get wet
yeah, yeah.
and cold.
Oh.
And
Okay.
so we pulled that out, and I didn't even wear a winter coat. They had to wear winter coats because they weren't underneath it. But
Oh,
yeah, it was great. It
Yeah,
was
we
really
just-
warm because the heat just stayed in there and the wind stayed off of us.
see,
So-
I can do rain, snow, all that, but wind, ugh.
Just get a pop-up hunting blind.
It's the same thing, kind of.
Yeah, but it doesn't have a front.
Right, it's
so I
not
can
open.
still feel the heat coming from the fire.
So it's open like a half umbrella kind of thing that comes down like this and, you know,
Yeah,
round
it looks
out.
like a big umbrella with sides, like that you would use
Yeah.
over a table. You
Yeah.
know? And then
feel
it
like
has
I've seen
sides,
one
so
before.
it like tilts a little.
It's spiffy.
Spiffy.
That is
It was
spiffy.
really, really
Spiffy.
cool.
Can you hear my earrings in there?
No.
No.
No? Okay, I can hear.
One of my earrings fell out earlier when I was like putting on headphones, and
I'm
it
glad she
somehow fell into
clarified-
my back pocket while I was
Oh.
sitting down.
Maybe like
Nice.
flinged it.
I'm glad she clarified earrings. I was thinking rocks, but just kidding.
Rocks.
Wow.
Do you need me to smack?
I'm kidding.
I don't know what he meant.
I'm having trouble too.
Oh, in my head. In my
Because
head.
of her brain.
What?
Yeah. I mean, I guess both of us now too, because I couldn't
Well,
understand. so-
well, I see him shaking his head, and I'm hearing the noise, so I was thinking more him.
Yeah, I am pretty dumb too.
No,
We're
not at all.
stupid. What about you, Christopher Lewis?
That's my name. I was born in Bay City. I'm from this area. Graduated Bay City Central, so I'm alumni there, I guess. I have a recording studio in Saginaw, Michigan.
What's it called?
Fire Hyena Recording Studios. It's been around since 2003 or 4. I don't remember the exact starting date, but
And
it's
you've
been
got
there a while.
like all the toys in there, and you got like you always get new toys, right? Or,
Always. It's a never-ending battle to buy new
He
toys.
just got new toys.
How do you feel about new toys all the time?
this is sounding pretty sexual.
You started it with the
His
pineapples.
toys are
You guys-
really, really expensive.
The last set specifically are more
Yes,
expensive
very
than most.
expensive.
What
I
are your
use-
toys? Do you have toys?
I have a camera.
Camera.
Yeah.
Okay. You're the toy.
So-
Okay.
Yeah.
Like for photography?
Yeah.
Okay.
Nice.
Just do it as fun.
Okay.
It is fun
It is fun.
until you do it for money, and then it stops being fun.
Yeah, I don't want to do it
Oh.
for money. I
See,
mean,
I
I have
thought
been
that-
paid here and there,
Right.
but it's fun. I like just fun stuff.
See, I thought recording would be like that too, but I actually enjoy it more that I get paid.
Well, yeah, and you're always meeting new people too. I mean, you got people like that return like me and stuff like that.
Well, yeah, and I get the new guys and younger people, you know, like that are fresh that have never done anything like recording wise or just starting out playing music.
Oh, and then you get to hold their hand.
Right. Well, you get to kind of develop them into like a musician, really, like kind of giving them the foundation to where they can go and what they can do. So it's a fun job in that aspect.
And his eyes twinkle when he talks about it.
Aww.
But,
I just want-
and I'm also an electrician
Your thing's
for
not-
next
I
year
know, I-
automotive.
I already forgot the phone thing.
Remember earlier, I was like, "You're gonna
Get
start
a
a timer, and then you're gonna hit the lap button." I was like, "You might want to get some paper just in case, babe."
But
Guess
there's
what?
no notes on the paper either.
No,
I'm starting it. You guys haven't made any TikTok worthy. I'm just kidding.
and I can't even see that far to see how long we've been recording for.
Yeah,
so.
I was thinking I'll just rewatch it anyways.
Do you think I would look okay with glasses?
Yes.
Yeah, for sure, dude.
Think I'd be a handsome little smarty farty?
Yeah,
All right. It's
but
like-
not all the time. I just want you to have them sometimes.
Yeah.
Taking
Yeah.
pictures suck because you get the glare, and I always have to take them off. And
Filming, it's an issue too, because you get like the anime eyes. They're all bright because the lights are shining at them. They're shining back at the camera, or there's
Is that how
green
it is right
screen in
now?
them. Huh?
I have glares.
No,
in
you
my
look
glasses.
gorgeous.
Gorgeous.
Thanks.
Gorgeous.
Yeah, you can't see it. No glares.
I mean, I can't really see. I've established, but from what I think I can see, it looks great.
Yeah.
It's all blurry to him.
Yeah.
You look great.
It's just the wine. I only need glasses when I'm drinking wine.
So when did you guys meet?
Do you want to go?
No, because you tell that part way better.
I
Tell us
better.
your story together.
Okay.
We're a blind date.
Yes.
What?
No
We were a
way.
blind date.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I was complaining.
She's still blind.
I am still blind. I was complaining to my friend Lynn about getting calls at 10 o'clock at night and wanting, men just to. I'm like, I have a child. I want someone to date me.
Right, right.
Call me up on a Sunday and take me out on a Thursday for dinner. And Chris was also complaining to a friend of his, Mitch, who was married to my friend Lynn, and they had this great idea that they would set us up.
What were you
So-
complaining about? Same thing?
Well,
you want
I
to date
mean,
someone instead of...
I'd been divorced for about 2 years, and like you go to the bar scene and it's a bunch
Yeah.
of crazy people that like to drink a lot. Well, I have 2 kids at home, so
Yeah.
I get my kids every other weekend. You're doing the part-time dad thing, which sucks, but you have to do it because that's what it is. And to try to find women who can understand that, and it was just difficult. Like as soon as they find out 2 kids, they're like, yeah, this guy, no, he's a little too serious for us right now. I'm out. And or you get the, oh, it'd be perfect. And then you hang out with them for a while and go, yeah, I'm perfectly crazy. I just got through that. I'm okay. So, it's just some of that. And I wasn't really looking like to settle down or have a steady girlfriend, so to speak. I just wanted someone who was normal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not too much to ask.
Yeah. So they asked if I wanted to meet them, and I'm like, can I have my heart surgery first so I know I'm not going to die on this guy after I meet him? And so we met shortly after I had a heart procedure.
Wow.
And he picked me up at the house, and I couldn't drink or anything because I was on blood thinners because of the heart procedure.
Nice.
So I drank soda, and all of a sudden it's 2:00 in the morning. And
What?
yeah, it was a really great conversation, obviously. And within 6 months we were living together. And
Did you see pictures of each other or anything?
no,
Wow.
when he came and he knocked on my door, I was like, do I look through the people or do I just open the door? Do I look through the people? And I was like, okay, I'm just going for it.
Yeah.
So just open the door.
Well, you got to understand, like when I was talking to her on the phone prior to this date, right? She's got laryngitis going on, so it's like, how you doing? This is great.
So you're terrified.
So I'm like, I'm gonna get a transvestite. I think this is gonna be weird.
I had the rough,
Raspy.
yeah.
Like I've been smoking for 50 years, truck driver.
That can be attractive.
Yeah, it
sometimes.
can be sexy, but maybe not in this situation.
So, and I did something very unlike me, which after our first date, I invited him back to my apartment, which I never do, or did at the time. And we watched the sun come up from the bay window of my living room. And he had to be to
wow.
work, and so did I. So it was a long day for both of us
Yeah.
after our first date. So,
And no, there was no shenanigans, so don't
Yeah,
ask.
right.
No,
there wasn't.
Wow,
Yeah.
good job.
No shenanigans.
No shenanigans.
So,
Darn it.
but it was just, we really enjoyed each other's company.
Yeah,
And
that's awesome.
Like it was fun. It was just nice just to be able to have someone that understood. But we were really honest when we had our first conversation. Like normally you hide behind your flaws and things like that when you first meet someone. I was like, look, like I have a lot of guy friends. I'm very affectionate. I'm really close with my ex's family. Like his mom is like my mom. My mom lives 3 hours away. If you can't handle that, we should just not move forward. And, like my parents live 3 hours away. I travel there. If you're not going to like that, then we shouldn't move forward.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I can be super snotty. It's not what I say, it's how I say it. If you can't keep me in check or understand that, we shouldn't. It was like things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And
She's trying to scare
So
me off.
bold.
well,
Yeah.
and Chris was the same way.
But I was exactly that. I mean,
Well, you both had kids and everything. It's
well,
like
right.
you don't have
Mess
time. I don't have
around,
time
yeah.
for this.
Yeah.
well, the thing is like the marriage that I was in previous was so controlled and so controlling, and I had changed who I was to try to fit somebody else's agenda, and it just like at this point I'm like, I just kind of found myself and wasn't willing to go, let's just. Yeah, you can control me again.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that. Like, I've got to stay who I am to be true to myself, kind of thing. So I was like, look, I'm in a band. I play music.
Of course you are.
I'm probably always going to do music of some kind or something. It's just something that I'm passionate about. I'm going to do that kind of thing. I have 2 kids. My ex-wife and I's relationship isn't great, so she makes things very complicated when it comes to the kids. She can be quite a handful. I just need you to know all that stuff before you walk into this and think things are going to be hunky-dory. And, you know, like, that's kind of how it started off. I'm not looking to be serious. We can date. If we date and things work out, great. If they don't, you know, if you find someone else you rather hang out with, go hang out with them. I'm okay with that. Like, I'm an adult at this point. So that's kind of how we started, which is kind of terrifying for most people, I guess.
That's really good
to start-
advice, actually, because I
Well,
would
yeah,
think.
otherwise you can end.
tell people that.
Sorry. I was
No, go ahead.
just saying you could end up with someone for like 2 years, and then like you realize I don't want to. Why am I doing this? I'm not even me. I'm just doing what to make her happy, kind of thing. And it's like,
Well, so a lot of people don't like each other. They fall in love with what they think the person
Right,
is,
true.
and they don't really like each other.
Well, they don't know the person to know if they
Yeah.
really like them.
it's like what you
Yeah.
do in like middle school and high school. You're like, well, I'm afraid they'll put me away if I like tell them who I really am. And
Right.
they'll break up with me. So you're like, I'll just change who I am. I'll just try to fit in to stay with them because I like them, and they're probably doing the same thing. And you're both don't even like each other.
Right. But the thing is in our lifetime, I mean, we've seen that with so many friends of ours. We've seen that with so many couples along the way that we've met, where it's like, you guys have no idea who each other really are. And when you see the relationships that are working and you go, man, they just went through some really crappy times and they're like best friends out of this. Like, it's just not the same thing. And then you see other people going through stuff and it's like they just want to make it more stuff and make it harder than it needed to be, and they don't ever come together on the same page. It's like a fight between them always. And you just wonder why you want that in a relationship. But we see that a lot. And like even with the younger generations, we've got young kids too, daughters that are dating. We've seen it with them. I mean, not being honest with the boys that they're with, or the boys being honest about who they are to them. And, then after some wasted time and some fights that didn't need to happen, they break up and go their own way, and hopefully they both learn something from it.
Yep.
Yeah. Good learning process.
Yeah.
It's like you want like a happy medium between the two, like just being like, I am who I am, take it or leave it, and I'm willing to sacrifice or change a little bit or bend, to fit with you.
Well, I think a lot of what it is like people in general look at someone and go, I love that person, I never want them to change. But the reality
We're
is
always changing.
But the reality is that everyone changes, and whether you change on the same path or different paths, everybody changes. And then how accepting of change are you? And that's really more about you as a person than it is about the person changing.
Very true.
And I don't think like for me, I'm very set in my ways. There's things that I go, I need to have this. But at the same token, I also understand if I want to keep a good relationship and have my best friend around, I have to do some of the things that my best friend wants to do. Otherwise, I don't have a best friend. And what good is having a best friend if you don't want to do the things that they want to do too?
Yeah.
But having
Best friends.
But it did take
shots fired.
it did take us a while to get to that point to where there was compromise and things like that. Like, we were very upfront with each other. And like Chris said, his ex was very difficult.
Was he
And-
right about that?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So we moved in together very quickly, and Chris proposed, and I actually was in the process of leaving him when he proposed. He had no idea.
Oh, wow.
So he,
Oh, I'm sorry. I was not paying proper attention. Did you say you were leaving your ex when you proposed?
No, she was
No.
Okay.
leaving me when I proposed.
I was leaving him when
Wow.
he proposed because of his ex.
Oh.
Oh my goodness. Grace.
Because of the stress that she was putting on me. Because like, go back to when I first met Chris, I have heart issues. So I had a follow up with my heart doctor, and he's like, what's going on? Like, your heart is worse than it's been.
Oh, wow.
You know, like what, you know, so we like ran down. I was like, the only thing that has changed is I started dating and moved in with
This creep.
this guy, and his, like, there's stress. Like, he has 2 kids. I was like, there's always something going on with his ex. There's always something there. And he's like, well, you need to eliminate your stress. And I was like, well, the only way I can eliminate that is if I leave him. And he's like, then you need to leave him because you're gonna die.
Oh my
You
gosh,
know,
that's
Damn.
Yeah.
She
So
did
you were
die. He was
wait,
a liar.
So you set up to propose to her.
Okay, so Christmas Eve, and this is 92, 2000.
My goodness, I was like,
2002.
1992. I meant
2000.
2002.
okay, that's a little better. I was in high school at least.
Christmas Eve 2002, right around then.
Yeah.
And you know, I have everybody come to the house. So we have her family there. We have all of our friends there. My kids there. Her kids there. All at the house, so I can propose to her. Some of my friends know what's going on. Some other people don't know what's going on. So I get down on the one knee in front of everybody right before midnight, and like, will you marry me? And she goes, no.
I was like, oh my God, no way.
And runs
And I walked
away.
I walked away
No,
to
she
another
was
side
running.
of the house. I was not running.
as fast as she could.
I walked as fast as I could, really. I did. And I'm like, my heart is racing. Like the blood has like left my body and it's in my feet. I feel like I'm going to pass out because I already have a place to stay after the holidays. Like, I'm leaving. Like, I am gone. And it's not because I don't love Chris. That's not it. And
You just want to live a little bit more.
Yeah. And
Sucking the life out of
one of our friends comes in and is like, oh my God, Taya, like, oh my God, like, you're so excited, or oh my God, you don't want to marry Chris. I was like, John, just leave me alone for a second. I need some space. And Chris finally comes into the room that I'm in, and he's like, honey, like, what is going on? And I eventually say yes, 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 and I get excited, and obviously I stay, you know, but with everything that was going on, it was devastating for me. And I never told Chris for years. It was years and years and years
10
before.
years later, I find out.
It was
10 years
probably
later.
about 10
weren't
years.
you like butthurt that she said no? You're like,
Well,
Well, I
he
was
just
like-
thought it. Well, I'm not a very in front of people
Oh,
person.
okay.
And so he's thinking that he just set me up in front of all these people,
I see.
and I was like completely shocked. And why would you do this in front of people? Because I assumed that it would be a private thing between the two of us, you know. But no. And so
You already saw my privates.
wait, how long were you dating before this happened?
And that's why
2
she was
years.
2
almost
years, right.
dying.
yeah.
Right.
And so it was it was pretty crazy. So, but I said yes. And
And was your doctor like, oh, yeah.
it was a long running with my health for
This
for
is a medical
while.
doctor?
Yeah, I was a cardiologist. Yeah, I have really horrible heart. So
That just seems like terrible advice from a medical. I mean, it was probably good advice, but it's like you would never expect a medical doctor to be like, "Yeah, break up with your."
No, he said eliminate your stress.
yeah.
He didn't specify what that
and
was.
I wasn't
She in her
specifically
own
the
head.
stress. It's
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
stress that came with me.
Yeah.
Right.
So did we murder the ex? That's what I want to
No.
know.
No.
Or should we?
Oh.
Just kidding.
So
No, now they're going to tell us a tragic story. Actually,
yeah.
she passed away.
No,
suddenly.
no. So Chris and I start planning our wedding, and we start, looking at houses to buy. And at this time, I can tell that Chris has a lot of trauma from his past and his past with his ex. And he starts, like, I am not his ex, but anything that I would do, he would think he was just waiting for the other shoe to drop. Like, I can't be who I am, who I say I am. And I'm going to do something that is controlling or manipulative, or I'm going to do this. And so I would tear down parts of these walls, and then he would put 5 walls up. And so she was very controlling with money and personal things and how he dressed and things like that. So we started fighting all the time, and about money, about the kids, about the house. And, so we're still trying to plan our wedding while this is all going on.
Wow.
And so we get married, and we have a great wedding and a great honeymoon, but there's still all these things that we need to work on. And his ex just keep, like, we're in court like constantly, and it's just one thing after another. So, and the more we're in court, the more Chris and I, it's weighing on us. And he wants to make more money, so he's working more, and I'm a stay-home parent, and I don't want to be a stay-home parent. I'm not enjoying being a stay-home parent. And even though, like, I'm doing very well being the stay-home parent, and it's just, there's everything that we are fighting. I have always had very good faith in the Lord, and he was not.
I was an atheist when I met. I'm not really an atheist. I was
Agnostic?
I'd say more agnostic than an atheist. I
So-
was the guy that would say the Bible was written by guys that just manipulate other guys, so shut up.
He's like, and I'm like, well, how can you prove your faith to someone that doesn't believe? And so we would argue about that, and then we would argue about money, and then we would argue about the kids, and then we would argue about our house and the cars and things like that. So I started praying to God, like, can you eliminate what like, please get rid of our arguments. And at that time, I really didn't realize, like,
Boy, did God answer
God
that.
answered. Do you want to go? You want to tell him? You want to tell him what God does?
Am I allowed to? Are we allowed to hear that? Because
Yeah.
I want to
So-
know.
Well, this is where it really impacts us.
Our marriage changed. I mean, drastically
Yeah.
because of this, and it was really me being dumb. I worked for a company and I stole stuff from them, and they arrested me, and I almost went to prison for it.
Wow.
And
Nice.
I mean, there's more to that story. I'm really concise about it, but should I have gotten what I got out of it? No, but at the same token, I understand that God works things his way. So I go into work on a Friday, and they've got the state police there, the FBI there, and they're arresting me right at work. And so my wife gets a phone call from some friends of mine at work saying, "Has Chris got drugs or something in his car? Because they just stripped his car in the parking lot, and they're arresting him." No, he doesn't do anything like that. So she calls another friend and says, "Hey, this is what's going on." And he's like, "If Chris has anything work-related at home, make sure it's gone."
Oh,
So, okay.
do.
So she does.
'Cause that's
Which
what
now makes you an accessory, by the way.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
yeah, don't do that.
So,
Don't do that.
so I'm sitting, listening to what they're trying to arrest me for. And I'm like, you guys realize this stuff was garbage, right? And I was told to throw it out. And I asked my supervisor if I could take it home and do whatever I wanted with it. And he said yes. And they went, "Doesn't matter. It's our stuff." And you don't have any proof that he says those things.
Wow.
So there you go. So like that's the gist of it, right? So, but I was also trying to start a union at that company. They didn't like the things I was trying to push. So it's good to make someone sometimes a fall guy for it. And me, I was young and pretty bullheaded and stubborn. So I did things that I probably shouldn't have done too at the same time. So I'm in the back of the state police car, and the officer's explaining what's happening, and I'm like just in complete shock at this point. Now keep in mind, I'm agnostic. I don't really believe there's a God out there. So we get to the police station. The detective, the FBI guy is going through what they've got, what their case is looking like, why they arrested me, and I'm looking at everything that they have, and I'm like, this is really just circumstantial. They can't really, like half of what they got here will get thrown out in court. If I just shut my mouth and sit in jail for 3 days, I'm going to be fine. Because they do it, of course, on a Friday afternoon, so you're not going to get bail. They want to make sure they prove their point so that you're there till Monday. And I've also got my kids that weekend, which they knew.
Oh.
So I'm supposed to get them at like 6 o'clock, and now I'm going to be sitting in jail for 3 days and have to explain that to the ex-wife.
oh
And-
God. Oh, I didn't. think of that.
Right. So all that's going through my head while I'm sitting there at the table talking to these officers, and I need to use the restroom. Like I'm not going to talk or say anything until I use the restroom. So the officer who had arrested me, the state police officer, takes me to the bathroom, and he stands outside. They handcuff you to a stall, and I'm flight risk, danger to themselves, and they were told I was dangerous and violent, so they went with what they were told. And so I'm like, all right, God, this is the thing. Like I'm in this position right now. If you're real, this is how I need to know. And I was very like talking kind of like I am like this out loud to myself, like, all right, God, I know if I keep my mouth shut, I'm looking at 3 days, even after he told you to silence it.
I know. It's my alarm.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm like, okay.
Anyway, sorry.
So I'm praying kind of out loud, like, God, if you're real, I mean, this is the situation I'm in. I don't really expect to get an answer from you, but this is where I'm at, and I'm just trying to process what I should do next, because I'm a pretty calculated person, and I'm like, man, if I just sit back and shut my mouth and let my attorney deal with this on Monday, I'll get 3 days in jail. They're going to throw most of this away.
But he has no idea what I did.
Right. And this is kind of like a misdemeanor to me at this point. So I'm looking at, they've got search warrants to go through my house and stuff. And I'm like, okay, I can see all this. And I have no idea what Taya's had done while I was gone, if anybody even told her that I was arrested. I don't know any of that. So I pray, and I'm like, all right, God, I need to know what to do right now. And I kid you not, a voice that I can't describe fills the room. Instantly, all the hair on my neck and arms are standing up, and the voice very calmly just says, do the right thing and everything will be okay.
Tell the truth.
Ooh, chills.
And I just kind of, all right, I'm losing my freaking mind right now, because there's no way I just heard that. And then it's tell the truth. It'll be okay. And I'm like,
that's our God.
and I'm looking around going, okay, I don't even know what that is. And I'm like white as a ghost. And I've got these tingles that I can't even explain. And I'm like, okay, is this a voice in my head? And then it repeats itself, tell the truth and everything will be okay. And I walk out of the, I call the officer back over, and I'm like, yeah, I'm done. And he's like, he looks at me, and we get in the hallway, and he stops me, turns me around, and he pulls out of his shirt a cross, and he said, I don't know what God just said to you in there, or the Holy Spirit just said to you in there, because I don't understand what the language was, but I know that was God speaking. We're all believers in this thing. Whatever just happened in there, and he shows me the hair on his arms are standing up. Whatever that voice was and told you to do, just do it and be diligent.
Wow.
And I was like, okay,
cool.
I didn't lose my mind. You know, and so that's why I believe. I mean, a lot of other people might not agree with that or think that maybe it was a psychotic break, but the officer kind of hearing that same voice going, yeah, that wasn't yours. And I didn't understand the language it was speaking in, but clearly you did. So
whoa.
I sit down, I tell everything that was going on. So at that point, the officers were like, okay, this story makes a lot more sense to us now, because none of it was making sense prior. Well, we need to go to your house and confiscate the computer and stuff that you were doing work on. So we get to and this is where the story gets great, right? So we show up to my house, where my wife is now an accomplice.
Oh God!
We show up to the house with the officers. Now you got the FBI, you've got the detective from the Michigan State Police Department there, and they walk in.
I'm not there, by the way.
My wife's not there, and my tool room that has these tools that they say I stole, and my computer that I've been selling the stuff on, and that's all gone. Like, that room is completely wiped out.
Oh my
I don't have a
gosh.
single tool in my house, let alone the tools.
So if he would have kept his mouth,
much.
if he would have kept his mouth shut.
So I'll think about that, right? Like, if I would have kept my mouth shut,
and there would have been nothing.
They would have done a search warrant, found nothing in my home at all, and it would have been, would have really then been a complete walk-off or misdemeanor, maybe no charges at all at that point. And, I said I was stubborn, agnostic, didn't really believe in God. So here I am actually praying to God I didn't believe was going to actually answer, and all of a sudden he answers, and I'm like, well, I guess you are real. I take back the things I said. Shit. And that's what happens, right? So I go home. She's not there. I call her up. I'm like, whatever you took from the house, you got to bring back. So, the officers are now standing in our house. They see the pictures of our kids. They see how we live. And then, like, the story.
The house is, I'm a stay-home parent, so the house is immaculately clean.
Right, like Better Homes and Gardens.
Yeah, it is like something walking into Better Home and Gardens.
Yeah.
Lucky. And
so she's home all the time.
I'm home, so like, what else am I going to do but clean?
So they're looking around and they're like, well, we were told you were going to be violent, that you were a flight risk.
What?
We were told all these things from your company. And I said, did you guys pull my file? And he's like, well, no. I said, you should pull my file. I've gotten every raise that I'm supposed to get. I've been excellent or higher than average for every evaluation that's been done in the 7 years or 5 years I was with that company. And I said, you guys didn't even look at that? Well, no, we just took their word for it. Okay, well, this is it. So then they meet Taya, and everyone loves my wife. So everybody likes Taya.
Of course.
They meet me and they're like, that guy's okay. Then they meet Taya and go,
and
she's
just
the cool
very
one.
calm.
Yeah.
I'm,
I can't imagine you being like crazy.
No.
No.
It's just not.
I just feel like through any storm, you'd just be like, it's okay.
Yeah.
Well,
God
if
has
That's how I
her
imagine
heart would
you.
fall out of her chest.
Right. Exactly.
Well, they meet Taya. She's like all super calm.
Yeah.
And, you know, and
The one even said, "Are you even the are you upset at all?" And I was like, I want to leave him at this point right now. Like, I want to end my marriage because of what
Yeah.
just happened. You know, like, I'm very upset. Like,
well, especially because they're saying things like, you're going to be an accessory.
Yeah.
We could charge you with being an accessory because you took the stuff out of the house.
Yeah.
And I'm pleading with them, you know, don't do this. You know, go look at my evaluations. Go look and see if you're actually being, you know, told 100% the truth from there. And so the FBI guy, after talking to us for like an hour in my kitchen, like they take whatever we have and put it in their car. And he's like, well, we're dropping my charges. Like there's like what I'm looking at here, like this is clearly garbage. Like I can tell that this is junk parts. There's no brand new anything in this box of crud. And he's like, this is, yeah, we're not going to push charges on this. And he's like, state of Michigan, they have to do their own thing. He's like, but the FBI side for interstate stuff, we're done. We're not going to do anything. And I'm like, okay, that's one less thing. And then the state trooper, you know, after the detective, you know, talking to us, he's like, I will go talk to the DA when it comes time for prosecuting you. You know, I'll come in on the day that they're going to give charges and that kind of stuff, and I'll speak on your behalf if that's okay. And I'm like, dude, that would be great if you do that. So we get through that day, they leave, and Taya and I are having this conversation, like that heart to heart of, okay, like, I'm like, I totally understand if you want to leave me right now. I almost put you in prison. Like, I mean, I don't even know how to be frank. I hope that you don't, but I totally understand why you'd want to protect our children at this point. And like this mess up that just happened should never have happened, and I should never have put you in the situation I just put you in. And it's all because I wasn't listening to her in the first place, that they're setting you up. There's no way that they're going to be okay with this. It's just too easy for what's going on. So, and I'm not listening. I'm just being stubborn. We need to make the extra money, trying to move forward in life, blah, blah, blah. And I totally get if you want to
he
leave.
bought 2 rentals that I was telling him not to. And he told me at that time we weren't married. And he's like, you're not my wife. You can't tell me what to do. And yeah, I mean, so
I got lots of red marks against me. I get it.
yeah. And, but, you know, then he tells me the whole, you know, like God spoke to him. And, you know, so I'm still like at the point where I'm just like, I just don't like.
But she can
is
see
he
the
really,
change too.
Yeah, I can. Like it's almost like it was instant, you know, but I'm still like, is he the man that I should be with, you know?
Right.
And is this really going to be enough? And
Well, see, so I tell her the God thing, and then she's questioning all this, and we're having that conversation, and then my phone rings, and the person who told her to take the stuff out of the house in the first place says, hey, I've got this attorney for you to talk to on Monday. I want you to go talk to him. Okay, so I go meet with this attorney friend of his on Monday. I find out that the guy's the ex-district attorney for the state of Texas. He's only here because his wife is dying of cancer and wanted to be close to home. He's really not happy with God at the moment, because I tell him this testimony, and he's like, there is no God. If God was God, he wouldn't let my wife die the way she's dying.
he's like, and you're stupid, and you're going to end up going to prison.
And you're going to go to prison.
Oh my
But
gosh.
he's like, but I'm going to take it.
But this is what he says. He goes, just to prove to myself that there is no God, I'll take your case and do it pro bono. And I'm like, what? He goes, yeah, because there's no way. Like what you're telling me, I'm watching my wife die, and I used to be religious, and there's no way. There's no God. Look what he's done to my life. No, I don't buy into this story at all. He's like, you're probably going to go to jail, but you know, let me look at the evidence and stuff. He goes, this is what I'll do. I'll do it pro bono. I want you just to pay for my gas to get to and from court and pay for the filing fees of the paperwork. I'm not going to charge you anything hourly.
Pause. I don't really know what pro bono means.
It means
For free.
Yeah.
For free.
He's not doing an hourly
He's
rate.
not charging to do the work, and a lot of people do it. Usually when pro bono work happens, it's when they stand something to gain later.
Yeah.
You don't go pro bono without
Well, what would you gain later?
He doesn't gain anything.
So
other than-
when you're suing someone, your lawyer, I'm pro bono, so he'll work for free until you get what you want from them, and
Okay,
he's going
that
to take
makes
a cut.
sense.
he's going to
Yeah.
take a portion of your settlement, right?
But in your case, you're not going to get anything.
No, in
Right.
his
There's
case,
nothing for him to gain,
Right.
except for
Yeah.
Christianity.
that he's just pissed at God and says, I'll ride this out because it's just going to confirm to me even more how God's not real. And I think that's why he took it. But
Okay.
Yeah.
so he takes this case, and I give him all the evidence, and he looks at me after going through all the court papers. He goes, why didn't you just shut your effing mouth when you were sitting there in the police station.
Why did you talk? He's like, why?
He's like, if you would have sat there for the 2 or 3 days, you would have walked off from this scot-free. They got nothing. He goes, this is the weakest case ever. The only reason they have you dead to rights for anything right now is because you opened your effing mouth. And I went, okay. And he goes, and because of that, God told you to do that, though, huh? God told you just to be truthful and honest, and it's all going to work out. That's what he said? Yeah. Let's see how it works out for you. We'll ride it out. We'll see what happens.
Wow.
Your worst case scenario, you're looking at 15 years in prison with maybe 5 years of probation. And I went, okay. And he goes, if we can get it in front of a jury trial and we can get it where they can look at all the evidence and see it the way that it actually is, he goes, you might get away with nothing, but they still could give you 15 years. He's like, so, you basically hung yourself with what just happened.
Yeah.
Okay. And he goes, and you're lucky you didn't take your wife down with you. I'm like, we're having those conversations right now. Mm-hmm. And so then Taya's seeing how this guy is, and she's like, God's working something out through you. You probably should be a little more diligent on this. And so at that point we started attending a church.
I was already going to church. He started going to church with me.
I started attending church with her, and trying to understand who this God is that I claimed to know but didn't know.
Right.
Like, so we go through all this 1.5 years later. So this all happens, and now I've got a child that is playing soccer. So we have to go to Canada to go to a soccer game, right?
Dang.
So like this all happens, and like within 2 weeks we're in Canada at a soccer tournament for my oldest daughter, and we are at this tournament with my ex-wife and her husband, staying in the same campground, and it's just all kinds of interesting, right? And so they don't know I've been arrested. They don't know any of that stuff yet.
At this point.
At that point.
Oh god.
At this point.
So this is so juicy. I love it.
I
I wasn't expecting this much juice.
Well, no one knows us that well.
Yeah.
I keep a lot of the stuff personal.
Yeah.
But
well, thank you for sharing it. So.
Well, now you're going to be all over the interwebs, bro.
Yeah. Yeah.
So God is real. I've heard his voice. It wasn't a psychotic break, it turns out. But, so we go to this tournament, we do all that. And then, we'd been trying to have a child of our own for about 1.5 years. We'd had several miscarriages along the way. A couple months prior to this, we had a miscarriage, and we were like,
pretty far along, actually.
Wow.
And the doctor was like, yeah, you shouldn't have kids. We should probably
heart doctor again.
Oh.
Yeah.
And OB.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, and OB.
Well, he's a heart doctor and OB?
No, my OB and the heart doctor
both said
that because of my heart, we probably shouldn't try.
I love those stories, though. You shouldn't do this, and then you do it.
But you did, right? I'm pretty sure you guys made at least one.
Yeah, Addison's the last.
Addison, yeah.
Okay. So we go on this trip, and we're like, well, I'm already buried in whatever's going on court-wise. Let's just kind of make this a fun trip and try to reconnect ourselves. Mm-hmm. So we did kind of like a second honeymoon at that point. So we went to Niagara Falls, hung out there. The
girls drive home with their mom. It's because it was our weekend when it started, and our week,
got it. Yeah.
And then at the end of it was her time. So they just drove home. So we had no kids. So we had 5 days.
And no job.
And no job. Yeah. And I'm a stay-home parent, so
what luck.
So
hey, we're here. Let's go to.
We're on
Niagara
the Canada
Falls.
side, or
that's the good side.
That's
a
good side. Yeah.
So we go to Canada. We hang out at Niagara Falls. We come home. We find out a couple months later we're gonna have a baby.
Oh.
So we keep it on the downside to everybody and on the down low, and then we finally found out it was gonna actually be a for real thing.
Yeah.
So we have Addison in the midst of all this. Like we find out, so I lose my job, almost go to prison. Court date's been set, haven't been to it yet, and then we're gonna have a baby somewhere in between this while I don't have a job. So I'm trying to find work now before this all gets out. That I have a criminal record. It's gonna be a lot harder. It just sucks.
Oh.
Yeah. So you're putting all kinds of faith into God to walk out what this promise was that he made to me, that tell the truth and everything will be okay.
Yeah.
So I'm going to stay with that. I mean, that voice and what I felt and how that sounded in the room, I'm going to play this out and see what happens.
Yeah.
So a year later, we get to court, and the state police officer.
Hold on, you got to back up, because before we found out we were pregnant for Addison, your ex-wife finds out that you were fired.
Oh.
And starts the court battle.
That's true.
Oh God, are you kidding me?
That was court battle number 4 at that point.
Yeah. So.
Oof.
Yeah, so
I'm so glad that
she
I have
starts
a great
at this point. So not only is he trying to find work, I'm a stay-home parent. She finds out, I find out I'm pregnant. I'm very ill. I'm in and out of the hospital for my heart. I have to stop all my heart meds. I can't work. I try to work.
That's the only reason she didn't divorce me is because I was taking care of her.
Probably.
That's how you do it.
Probably.
Thanks, big guy.
And so it was just one, I mean, here we're trying to keep our faith in God. He's newly into this, and
like the
I'm
devil's
like,
trying hard to throw everything at me that he can.
It is
For
just
sure.
like one thing after another. Like we would get over one hurdle with Addison and then find out something else. And then I'm 4.5 months pregnant and she stops growing. So now we have stress tests every 2 times a week from January until June. She doesn't move. So like we have to have ultrasounds all the time because she's not growing. She's not moving. I'm losing amniotic fluid in the stress of this and then court and then him trying to find a job. And it was just like one thing after another.
You should have just been put on an island or something.
Yeah, it was just...
Well, you gotta write
Little
out the
pregnancy
story.
island.
But like and he would ask me, he's like, how do you do it? Like, how do you keep your faith? Like, how? I was like, because I've never ever been left homeless without electricity. There's always someone. There's always something there. And my family are so giving and so just amazing. And anytime we needed help or anything, like they were there. My dad was always there. And it was just like, and he's seeing all this at this point. And he's just like, I just don't get it. Like, how is this possible? And I was like, because it's God. It's God, and, so, and it was like when we would need something, like he would find a better job, like he would find a job and then a better job would come up. And it was just like one thing after another that was positive over all these negative things that were happening. Right. And it was like, and just watching him just like get more into like that believing, and so it was, at this time, and we lost our house too.
Oh,
Yeah.
We went from
There's
like a
that.
3,000 square foot house to a 800 square foot
Oh.
house.
Yeah. Right after Addison
With
was born.
3
Yeah.
kids?
Yeah,
Four.
Four kids.
4 kids.
Yeah. So
That's crazy.
yeah, but
But
like
the
go
best thing
back to
ever.
remember, I was praying for all the stuff that we were fighting about to go away.
To go away, yeah.
So in the midst of this, his ex, after Addison is born, his ex-wife gets CPS to believe that there's abuse, and they take the 2 older kids out of our house.
This is all while I'm still waiting to go to court.
Yeah, he hasn't gone to court yet.
So she's trying to use that as leverage to try to take custody.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So it turns
Who
out
is
to
this
that.
woman?
So
Yeah.
You
so-
watching this podcast?
Nah.
I'm just kidding.
So everybody has their own demons. She has her
Yeah,
own
yeah,
to fight.
yeah.
And like for me, I got no animosity there. It is what it is.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, like I've lived that storm. But yeah, we get to the courtroom finally after a year and a half and all this other stuff going on. And, I'm sitting down and my attorney's there and he's like, hope you're prepared to push this off for another year because we got to try to go for a jury trial. So that's what I'm going to try to push for. Okay. So then state police officer that said he was going to be there. He's there. He's talking to the DA. He looks over, waves to me. And then, my attorney's like, I don't know what that's about. So like 15 minutes, we're just kind of sitting there and there's no judge coming in yet. And then the judge finally comes and says, hey, I want you 2 guys to go talk, you 2 attorneys to go talk out in the hallway. So I'm sitting there waiting, for what's going to happen. My attorney says, hey, we're going to go to this conference room. And okay, so we go to this conference room and he goes, I don't even know what to say to this. What do you mean? The DA who has you dead to the rights just offered you a plea deal. And I went, what? Yeah, they want to drop it from 2 counts of, attempted larceny from a building to just 1 count, which means that if you get the 1 count, you could actually get that expunged off your record in a couple years.
Wow.
Okay, they want no prison time. They just want you to do 2 years of probation and pay, some restitution. And I went, okay, well, what about the other one? Well, that's going to be a misdemeanor. What? Yeah, it's just going to be a misdemeanor charge. You'll be able to expunge all this. And he's just sitting there and he's completely dumbfounded. Mm-hmm. And he's like, all right, so take me back to how we met again and the whole God thing. and so, we're having that conversation and he's like, I have never seen, he goes, and now remember, I've worked for the state of Texas. He's like, I have never seen a district attorney who has a win, slam dunk, walk in and offer a plea deal to anybody at all when they've got him so in the bag.
Oh,
and he goes, and I didn't have to argue anything. She's just telling me this is what we think is more appropriate for this guy's situation. Uh-huh. And he's like, they don't care about your situation.
Yeah.
I don't know what God said to them this morning in the shower, but whatever happened, this is what I recommend you do. So, we go in there, and the district attorney tells the judge what they're offering, ask if I accept, and I do this, and then the person for the company I work for yells out something about how that's not fair and that's not right, and basically gets hit with contempt of court for blurting out different things along the way. And they want to keep making the fine bigger and bigger and bigger each time. So I ended up paying like $6,000 in restitution, which the judge is like, I don't even want to give him that because he's took junk and he made it something that you can sell.
Yeah.
And now you're saying because he gave it a value that he owes you that value. You sell that, you've got your value. That this is ridiculous. He's like, I don't even know how we got here, but this is where we're at. I agree with what the district attorney's doing. We're calling this done. You okay with that, Mr. Lewis? I'm like, I'm fine. I'm not going to jail.
Yeah.
So, and then, we walk out there and I look at my wife and go, okay, so full circle on that God thing. He says do this and this is the outcome. And I said, and I didn't expect there wasn't going to be consequences. You know what I mean? And I think sometimes when people pray, they think that when God answers the prayers, there's not consequences that come with it. So when I've had people point that out, well, you still got that. It's not like you walked away scot-free. Well, okay, atheist or non-believer, I get where you would come from and say that. But on the flip side, let me ask you this. You tell your kid 5 times that the stove is hot, and the 6th time they touch it and they get burned, do you feel bad for the kid, and is there a consequence for it? Mm-hmm. Like you've already, as a father, told them 5 times not to do something, and now they did it, and the consequences, they feel the pain of the burn. Mm-hmm. And I said, so when we reach out to God, our Father, and we're asking for things, and we're trying to be obedient in the sense like we are to our own parents. Yeah. And I said, when we step out of line, we are not supposed to think that there's no consequence that comes without coming out of line a little bit, that there's not going to be a cause or reaction to my cause.
Definitely.
And not only that, but in the Bible, it talks explicitly about like Christians are not going to have an easy life. You're the ones who are going to have the hard life. Almost every Christian in the Bible got like beheaded, or like all the ones that were writing the books, at least, can't even name them, but gosh, who were they?
Don't look at me. I'm the last person to.
John the Baptist was beheaded.
Wasn't Thomas beheaded too?
I can't remember. It's pretty much every single one who was like, okay, I believe in Jesus and all that. It's like, oh, you're going to die now. And they were persecuted the whole time. And so
look at Job.
Yeah. Yeah. That was like pre-Christianity. That was like, that story gets me. I don't like that story.
It's just like, it's
God's
crazy.
God's like, I know Job. He's hardcore. Do whatever you want. It's like, man, what about Job, dude? Like,
exactly.
But does Job really want to do it? Yeah. Did you ask him if he wanted
ask him. No, the whole time he just complains. He's like, come on, do I deserve this, God? Why are you doing this to me?
Because I know you can handle it, son. That's why.
Yeah.
But that's that thing with Christianity, and I said it's kind of how it was. But for us, I mean, that was a big test of the marriage. I think, honestly, like going back, hindsight being 20/20 on that, going back, and if I would have just kept my mouth shut, and I've played this scenario in my head several times, just kept my mouth shut and not done anything. They probably would have. Would I have stayed married to Taya during that?
Because they probably would have had me as an accessory.
No.
For sure.
That God didn't just save you that day. He saved you. He saved
your marriage.
He saved your marriage. He saved the lawyer dude.
The lawyer.
He saved even the state trooper in the hallway. Like he may have been going through something too.
Yeah.
Now he's reaffirmed. Yeah. He's walking a straighter path because of it. There's so many lives that were touched just from that one conversation with God, and it's like. Yeah,
I wasn't expecting this to be so.
You have
amazing.
to. It's so juicy.
It's so juicy and like. Oh!
It's like you just gotta.
I just love God stories like this. Yeah. This is awesome.
You gotta go through stuff.
Like, all that, like every point, there was a choice that I had to make. When we were going through the custody with the girls while this was all going, they basically told me that they were evaluating the girls. And I might have to leave. Chris and I might have to separate because while this court was going on, and I looked right at Chris and I was like, if it's the choice of you and my kids, I'm taking my kids. Yeah. Like you won't see these kids if they tell me that you can't see these kids until this is over. Mm-hmm. Like I'm not this is it. And honestly, I think if they would have said that, hey, you can't, we probably wouldn't be sitting here today.
Right.
So there's all these choices. But like once everything was done and we were still going through all this court stuff, it wasn't over. Like that's not where it ends. It wasn't like, oh, we're so blissful now. That's not where it ended, because the court battle was almost, it was 12, so 5 years. It was 5 years long.
Dang.
And so it's like the two older girls there's like total chaos after we get them back, and we are awarded all our makeup time, and it's deemed a lie. And in this, while we're going through all these court things, she is telling the judge and everybody that Chris is abusing me, and that's why I'm not.
Oh my gosh.
I'm not coming forward and saying that there's abuse with the kids. So they force us to go to marriage counseling. Best thing ever.
I was gonna say that's not like a
Twist
bad
my
thing.
arm and sign me up again.
Like,
But so many people like don't want to do it. You want to
Yeah.
know your spouse better? Go do that. You want to know yourself
Dude,
better? Go do
seriously, or start a podcast. You could do
yeah, it was the first 30 minutes of our first session. The counselor goes, Taya, you don't like conflict, do you? And I was like, no. She's like, you compromise yourself a lot. And I was like, no, I don't. She's like, here's a scenario.
that. You just compromised yourself there.
Yeah. She's like, you and Chris are going to have a date. He asks you what you want to do. What do you say? And I was like, I want to go to the movies. And she's like, okay, but Chris says, oh, but I want to go bowling. What do you say? And I was like, I'll go bowling. She's like, but that's not, he asked you what you wanted to do. And you wanted to go to the movies. I'm like, but I'm still going to have fun bowling. She's like, you said you wanted to go to the movies. You're compromising yourself to go bowling to make him happy. Stop doing it. She's like, do you do this with
That's why
everybody?
I'm so unhappy now.
because now you're always going to the movie.
No, it's always the stupid.
Usually
chick
it's the other way
flicks.
around. I want to go bowling. He wants to go to the movies.
But I feel
you
the
know,
same
like-
way, kind of like, it's like, yeah, we could have fun at both.
Yeah.
Doing both.
And
I know.
when I was younger, a friend of mine used to get mad because I would do that, because I like to listen to live music, hence the dating band guys.
Dating
and
band guys, yeah.
band guys. And so another friend of ours always wanted to go to the DJs, and when we would argue a little bit, and then I was like, okay, let's just go. And my one friend was just like, stop letting her push you around. And I'm like,
yeah.
I'm going to have fun no matter where we go, I'm going to have fun.
Right.
You know, and I never felt like I was compromising myself until the counselor put it that way.
Yeah.
And so she's like, you are allowing people, especially Chris, because if you give him this, he's going to take more. So you need to be able to communicate, no, we can go bowling the next time. I really want to go see this movie. And you need to be able to tell him how you feel. You need to tell him how you feel. And I was like, I was always afraid of telling him exactly how I felt, because I was afraid that my feelings wouldn't be validated. And so I never was like, that hurt my feelings. I would just okay, that's whatever, and just let it go. And so the counseling helped us be able to communicate what he was feeling, what I was feeling, and to be able to come and be able to like grow from what we were doing. And because Chris is very closed off at times, and I am not. I'm a very open book and things like that. And it was difficult sometimes for us to have that common, to where I'm not emotional. I'm not emotional either, and neither is Chris. And so sometimes that's hard also. And Chris
You're
can
making me cry right now.
but it's just
I want to
like,
cry listening to
yeah.
you guys. I'm just
And but having me like Chris can shut off his emotion, and I cannot shut my emotion off. I just don't show my emotion. So I'm not the one that when you argue with me, I'm gonna cry. I'm not gonna yell at you. I'm not gonna call you names. Chris is not gonna call me names. He shuts down, and then he goes and he isolates, and then he can come back and talk to me. Well, before counseling, I would always go to him and try to fix it. I wanted to fix the problem, and I couldn't fix it. I had to let Chris figure out what he needed to figure out. So counseling helped us do that. And then you would think like, oh, you know, like you're perfect, right? Everything's perfect now. No, then a really shitty thing happened in our life with our youngest. And that will be another conversation. And it almost ruined us again.
Wow.
Even after we both had God in our life and we had these counseling sessions, and it was really hard to deal with, and it put a lot of stress on our marriage. And there was one time where Chris got in the car and he's like, I'm leaving. And he's like, I'm going to Florida. And I was like, so you're just going to leave? I feel like with everything going on, you're just going to drive. He's like, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. It's too stressful. He's like, I feel like I failed. And I was like, what do you think I feel like? Like I'm the one that's, like dealing with it. You're not dealing with it. And he's like, how can I deal with it? And so
I want to deal with it with a gun and a bullet.
Yeah. So
that's a good way to deal with it.
yeah, it was.
If you want to go back to prison, and then that's a whole different kind of marriage counseling there.
Right. It was
Pass me a note.
And but in everything, like we like with the miscarriages and the court and like everything, like God had, you don't really realize, like, they say like, oh, things happen for a reason, like why would you miscarriage a kid? Like why would you have 3 of them and one pretty far along? Like how is that, like, like, oh, it happens for a reason. Well, we had friends that had a stillbirth, and they were 2 weeks away from being due, and she went in for an appointment and they couldn't find a heartbeat. She had to deliver the baby.
Oh, yeah.
And I know the feeling of loss.
Yeah.
And I was able to help her and mentor her, and with God's help and the fact that I had those miscarriages, I understood the loss.
Yeah.
And, so like when they say, like everything happens for a reason. And so like everything does happen, like you don't see the bigger picture. And
I don't think we're supposed to always see the bigger picture.
Yeah.
So it's the little
True.
pictures.
Very true.
It's weird that we expect to. It's
Yeah.
weird that there's like this being that's above us just pulling all the strings, and we're like, I deserve to know the plans. It's like, no.
No.
Yeah. Right.
We
But, like,
don't.
I can't laugh at them if you know them.
but like looking back, like if I would have not said yes, like where would we have been? Or
Said
when-
yes to what?
being married,
Being
like,
married, okay.
like saying yes to
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
proposal. And then when he did get
Well, you
arrested,
didn't.
well, I did eventually. I did eventually. And, or when I
I had
was
to trick
like,
2 pigs and a goat.
yeah, he told the kids for years and years and years. That's what he gave my dad for me. So, and my dad lives by farms, so it was like really funny.
Yeah, that's
We're very
reasonable.
old school at our house.
Yeah. But yeah, it was a lot of choices, and just having faith that the love that we had was enough. And sometimes it's pretty crazy to think about.
Yeah.
So
Well, and like on my side of it, right? Like you've heard a lot of where she's like, I was ready to go.
Yeah.
Well, I felt like that along the marriage and the aspects of it too, because she wouldn't push back. It's like, I need someone who's going to kind of hold me accountable at times from some of the dumb things that I do, because I will just do things. I've lived a pretty long life of it's better to ask for forgiveness than permission. So I've exercised that a lot in this lifetime, and I need someone to go, this is not one of those times. Knock it off, knucklehead. Like you need to rope in. And so with being a strong personality that way, having someone who's equally strong to go, all right, come on. We're not going to do that this time. But it's going to be so much fun. Yeah, until you get in trouble.
Yeah.
So like,
and counseling helped me be that person.
right.
So
Right.
And on the flip side, like her life would be very boring without me. 'cause
That's
she
so
was
I would probably be a crazy cat lady. I'm not gonna lie.
A crazy cat lady.
Yeah.
Because, well, it's easy when you get diagnosed with something like my wife has, like for
Yeah.
as sick as she is. It's really easy for people to use that as an excuse not to do anything or to live anymore.
Right.
And that becomes their whole life, is to fixate on how sick they are rather than like how much life there is to live.
Yes, good
And the
point.
thing is
Yeah.
like, I think I balanced that out in her. I think if I wasn't in her picture in that way, to make her go out to the shows, to make her go to concerts, to get her to go traveling, to get her to go camping, to get her to go do these things.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
there's
I-
sometimes, like I don't feel like today I started not to feel well.
Oh.
And I was like, are you kidding me? Like we have so much going on and we're going to hang
We're
out.
going to
with
a
great-
pineapple party.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
And I'm like, are you kidding me? But like I pushed through, and Chris
Thank
will,
you.
yeah, Chris will like there's been times where we've had plans and he can clearly see that I'm not well. And he's like, you're either going to be not well here or not well there with friends that care about you.
Oh,
And he's like,
That's a good point.
what,
Yeah, that is
it's
good.
going to, you're not going to feel well either way.
Yeah.
And you might start feeling better at the end of the night, and then you can be with your friends. And so he helps me. He pushes
That's
me.
really
and
cool.
What a guy.
What a
Yeah.
guy.
That's all I bring to the table.
you bring
That
a
is
lot
not
of
all.
her, my Lord. Yeah.
I'm like falling in love with you guys. It's like
That's why it's a pineapple party.
That's why it's
I'm craving pineapple.
no,
Why?
this is
And
this is so
and with
awesome.
counseling, like, Chris learned that it's okay to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
And because it was really hard for him to be vulnerable.
Still is.
Still is. Especially
is, yeah.
unless he's on shrooms.
Shrooms is a fun thing.
I tell you what.
I haven't tried it yet. I'm so scared to try it.
Well,
We should
Yeah.
probably cut this part out of the podcast.
no. I firmly believe that. Well, I don't know how to describe it, but I firmly believe in shrooms.
Well, I will say that my understanding of who I am as a person is more clear because of being on shrooms.
Yeah.
And like
Yeah.
who I am and where I am in the universe at that point, I guess. And it's not like everyone thinks you just lose your mind on shrooms and it's all like weird,
No.
but no, it's
Oh,
it's
dude,
Have
really
you done
get-
it?
Yeah.
It's a
Wow.
very intro perspective type viewpoint of things, and it's why it's you've got to be around the right people and in a safe
Yeah, it
environment.
can be
because
abused. People, if you party on it,
Yeah,
you're a
yeah.
nerd. Like, get out
Well,
of here, weirdo.
The thing is,
I want to be
is
crying and like,
Well,
be like,
it's
oh, dude,
spiritual.
I'm
It's
sorry about the one
spiritual,
time I
yeah.
stole your pen, bro. Dude, I feel so bad. Like, it's like, that's the kind of stuff that can come out too. Like, last time I did it with my brother, I was like, dude, I stole your comic when we were kids and I sold it for like a yo-yo. And it was like a super expensive comic book. And he was like, in the moment, he was like, oh, it's okay, man. No big deal. But then I went out and I bought that comic.
So you
For
still
what it's
remember
worth
what you
now.
guys talk about?
Yeah,
when you-
like,
yeah.
you don't
Yeah.
forget it.
Oh no, you're totally lucid.
Yeah.
It's not like how everyone portrays it, and that's
It's
part
not
of
like being
Yeah.
drunk. Like,
Right.
you don't black out shrooms.
no.
No.
Like,
and
but
like,
maybe bits and pieces, the way
No,
you
not
don't
even.
remember stuff.
yeah.
No, I could probably recall pretty much everything.
I've never been. Like,
I'm scared
I
of
don't know.
feeling sick. I don't know.
Nah, that,
Yo, I mean,
It all
Sometimes
depends
do.
on how
Like,
you take it.
It depends because like the first time I was like I would get waves of nausea, but the other two times that I did it, but I
depends
fight
on the
with
strain.
myself.
It depends. There's
Because
so
like there's a fun side that's inside me that the controlling reserve side
Oh, yeah.
like suppresses, and they're when I'm on shrooms they like fight.
Oh, okay.
And-
So like
Oh.
yeah.
and if you're like fighting against your emotions, if you're like trying to repress everything, that'll make you
Yeah.
sick and feel worse.
And the first two times I was very controlled. The last time I did it, I just let myself go and I did cry a lot. But like it was
good cry.
needed. It was a good cry.
Oh, yeah.
And Chris was like, I kept apologizing to Chris and he's like, he's like, you needed this. You
Yeah,
needed
that's
this, you
awesome.
know? So,
Oh yeah, it's the
and-
whole everyone. As long as everyone's in the same state of mind, there's no one judging you. Everyone is so open to what you have to say and to your heart and your emotions and your feelings, and it's like the most. It's like one of the best experiences.
Well, using the biblical thing, right? Like God says, or Jesus had said, all things in moderation, really. I mean, that's what it is, not to abuse anything, right? So you can abuse food as much as you abuse drugs. You can abuse, alcohol as much as you can abuse eating a Subway sandwich. So, I mean, it really comes down to that. I mean, you can abuse yourself by being too into sports or too into that, like when you're all into something and nothing else matters. I mean, that's really the moderation that he's speaking of. And the same thing, like when I look at shrooms or someone who wants to smoke pot, like if you want to go smoke dope, go ahead. I don't care. Like it doesn't really affect me. Now, when it becomes your everyday and all
Yeah.
day, and that's
when
all
that's
you
your
live for.
personality, dude.
Well, yeah, like when you wake up in the morning and the first thing you want to do is smoke down or drink a beer or any of
Right.
that,
That's
I
actually,
mean,
yeah.
it's a different way to look at it. So, like,
Also, there's like man-made stuff, and then there's
I
natural.
I have trouble with people like, cause like, yeah, I got an argument the other day, cause like everything comes from the earth. You are chemically
Yeah, but,
altering
like,
things,
Yeah, chemically altered.
but
I
it's
should say.
all comes from nature.
Are you chemically altering a mushroom? It's naturally grown, and then
that,
you're eating
that
it.
is
That's
just what it is.
It
yeah.
That's why I
Well,
feel
same thing with pot.
That's why
Yeah.
I feel okay.
I think they
with it.
culture. They culture them.
Well, no, you can get like just organic without having to do anything special to it. Marijuana out there that you could smoke. That's where it came from.
Yeah.
I mean, before they started crossbreeding,
But like
and doing
meth
the
and
science,
stuff
but-
is like.
Yeah, you're taking
chemically-
Drano and other.
Yeah. To me, that just seems like
Yeah. Well,
man-made.
there's no health benefits to meth that I know of.
or cocaine.
You can
no.
do it. You can get really good at work for like a few days, and then after
Then
that,
lose
it's
your
all-
teeth and not eat a sandwich.
yeah.
And you
So
get really
it's really
thin
good for
and-
weight loss.
Weight loss, yeah, it's
I
really
mean,
good for
yeah,
weight loss.
yeah.
Meth.
But yeah,
Yeah,
but,
meth and coke. Yeah, you can
but
get
you,
loose.
Should I just want to do it to lose like 5 pounds.
like
No, that's not how it
it's
works.
like
though.
3% of people kick meth after they do it.
Right.
So it's
yeah,
like
only
so
yeah.
addictive.
So
yeah.
coke or meth.
3%.
Some people can just do it, and other people will sell all their things in
Everything.
their house to buy more.
There's
it's like
so-
the
yeah.
black pill. Kind of.
Oh, yeah.
American Horror Story.
American Horror Story.
Yeah.
I don't know if you watched that.
No.
Well, watch it later. We'll
Okay.
tell you later off the podcast. But yeah, some people. I mean, I would never even. That's not even worth
Yeah,
attempting.
no, I would
Cocaine. I've never tried
Drugs
it. I never will.
scare
Yeah,
me.
same here.
Yeah.
But like shrooms I have done, and like
Yeah.
the last time I did shrooms like was opening for her more than anything.
Yeah.
Like because
Yeah.
Because I wanted to go to bed, and he's like, "No, stay up with me and talk." And I was like,
Dude,
she wasn't on shrooms. I was.
Yeah, I didn't
Oh,
do it.
You
Yeah,
were already.
yeah. And he was like, all his walls fell down that night, and it was so.
I bet it was
amazing
awesome
to
for
me.
you.
Amazing.
It
even
was
even not
amazing.
being on shrooms, it's just
Like I would think we stayed up to what 3 a.m.
Yeah.
Oh, my
and he
goodness.
just talked and just let his feelings go, and it was. He made me cry a couple times,
Aw.
and it was just so.
So when she realized how
amazing.
broken I really am.
Yeah, that was heartbreaking to me too. You
Yeah.
know, so it was eye opening, and
Stop, you're gonna make me cry.
It was just, but
Well, yeah, but like that's the thing. Like, we're all broken, right?
Yeah.
Like there's not a perfect life out there. Everyone thinks that they have a perfect life. They can believe that if they want, but
or they think other people have a perfect life.
right, which isn't true either. I
Right,
mean,
right.
and like
Yeah.
the whole thing is we're some of our imperfections, and that's like the hardest thing I think for people to grasp sometimes. And okay, so just because this really nasty, crappy thing happened to you for this little portion of your life doesn't mean it should dictate how the rest of your life goes. And at some point, you have to learn how to deal with compartmentalizing those aspects of life and going, okay, what can I take from that that's going to make me better and build from? Because I can't hold on to the hurt, I can't hold on to the pain, I can't hold on to all that stuff forever and expect to be better because of it.
Yeah.
Right? So I have to find out, all right, I lived through it, I dealt with it. Okay, now that I've done that, okay, I don't want to ever be like that to somebody else. So how can I make myself a better person because of that instead of the opposite? Which, you know, you can blame environment for a lot of how people act in the world that we live in, but there's no self-accountability. And I think that's why a lot
Yeah.
of people are afraid of God, is because it's not that being a Christian is easy. It's because, you know, like there's this accountability that God gives you for yourself.
Yeah.
For
where
sure.
look, I'm trying to be better for me. It's not that I'm judging you for how you live,
Yeah.
because whatever you're going through is between you and God. I can't do anything about that.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be better because I see where I'm flawed. I'm trying to heal the flaws and the things that I've done and trying to grow from that as a person. So I think that scares people, because you have to look at yourself first and go, I am not perfect. I've got all these issues. I've got all this darkness and all these things that make me kind of a crappy person, and I don't want to be that guy anymore. And you have to kind of face those things. And when you start to fall in line in the ideology of Christ and like Christianity in general, and you start to look at yourself, and you start to see these things that you've been like, I don't want to be held accountable for that.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just going to pretend I never did that.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And really, though, that accountability is what you need in order to not do that again, and to be a better person from it, and to learn from it and go, okay, so what is this purpose that we're living on this planet for? Why are we actually here? What's the purpose of this life that we live? And I see right now in the world that's going on, and the marriages that are around us, that there's so many people that they have no purpose to the marriage. They have no purpose
Yeah.
to their kids. They have no purpose to the world they live in. They get up, they go to work, they buy whatever they want to buy, and all the stuff that they buy isn't making them happy. The lives that they're leading aren't making them happy. They have no idea what happiness actually is. They don't really even understand the concept of it.
they don't like themselves. They don't like their spouse.
Yeah.
They don't like their kids.
Yeah.
Well, I think we may need to do a part 2 on this.
That's probably what like
We've we're
gonna
going
be our
on.
longest one.
We're going on our record length podcast right now. So yeah, I do want to cut it short now, just for time for listeners, and have you back on another season. Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
You guys are
Because you guys are so juicy and you
so
got
juicy.
such good talkers and
yeah, I love it.
storytellers. So let's go tell stories out
At the bar.
somewhere else.
Yeah.
And eat food.
If we're still
Yes,
up for
I'm
it.
starving.
You're starving.
But yeah, thanks everyone for tuning in. That tuned in. It's been awesome. Check out Fire Hyena Studios.
Yeah.
I feel like
Fire-
the name changed
Wow.
when you said it earlier. Because you said it earlier, it sounded different. I don't
Fire
know.
Hyena
Fire
Studios.
hyena.
Fire
Hyena.
Hyena.
She can't say
Studios.
it.
That's the wine and the
wine,
pineapple.
Woo! And the pineapple.
But anyways, let's see if I can get my mouse to work here. Does that say stop? No, this says stop right there.
Oh, you weren't recording this whole time.
Oh no.
Kidding.
How awful would
that
that
would be
be?
so terrible.
Anyways, thanks for stopping by.
Dude, that's the delete.
That
Don't
was
hit
so
it.
good. Thank you guys so much for coming.
Oh, thanks
Yeah,
for
thank you
having
guys.
us.
Thanks
for having
Thank
us.
you.
And we'll see you guys next Tuesday.
See ya.
Oh wait, hold on, we're gonna do this.